Good morning. Good morning, members. I know y'all have tended to lots of important business over Friday and Monday. And certainly, as we know this morning, our prayers go out to President Carter and his family, as we will continue to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. What a great American. Members will please come take your seats. Members will take your seats. The hour for convening having arrived, all members will please take their seats. Mr. Clerk, will you please ring the bell? We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Can we vote Chairman Jaspers in? Oh, there he is. He figured out how it works. How long have you been here? Have all members voted? I think you have now. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 179th House District, Representative Rick Townsend. Representative Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my honor to introduce Pastor Timothy McDonald III. He's a Brunswick native. Husband, father, and pastor. Reverend Timothy McDonald III is a founder of the African American Ministers Leadership Council and the president of the African American Ministers in Action, a People for the American Way, and a senior pastor of the First Iconium Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, where he has served since 1984. Reverend McDonald has taken First Iconium 35 members to approximately 1,500 members. Reverend McDonald has appeared on Oprah Winfrey Show, Good Morning America, The Bill O'Reilly Show, Nightline, the National Press Club, is often quoted in USA Today, New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, National Public Radio, and other national publications. Reverend McDonald received a BA from Berry College in Rome and holds a Master's of Divinity from Emory University and completed some doctoral work as well. He is married to Miss Shirley Neal McDonald, and they are proud parents of 3 children, Nikisha, Timothy IV, and Ebony. I know Pastor Timothy by accident, really. I met a sister, it's a longtime friend, Audrey Gibbons, and she called me up during a freshman caucus meeting and said, "Hey, Rick, can you pick up a few books for me?" Well, they're written by Dr. Bernice King, and they were for a Martin Luther King event back home in Brunswick. I said, sure, I'll be glad to pick up a few books. 10 cases later, Pastor McDonald and I loaded the books in my car, and that's where I first met him and realized he had a servant's heart, just like his sister did. He was part of the first integrated class at Brunswick High, and I believe the first black student council president as well at Brunswick High. He's ministered since the age of 16, grew up in 88 Brooklyn homes, and that was the projects. We kind of talked about that. I went to Lithonia High School myself, and I didn't realize I was in Section 8 housing at the time. Nobody told me, it was Section 8. And so we had a common bond there. And I think we all can live by this next quote, or next passage in the Bible, Psalm 37:23. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. He got us calling early, and we're a better place. Brunswick's a better place, Atlanta's a better place, and Georgia's a better place because of Pastor McDonald. And it's my honor to introduce him and welcome him to this Golden Isles Day at the Capitol. Thank you.
Good morning. Mr. Speaker, thank you so much, and Representative Townsend, thank you. And to all of you elected officials, thank you, and to those in the galleys, we're happy that you are joining this morning to participate in this democratic process. I'm very honored to be here, happy to be here. My father in the ministry served here for some 10 years. Some of you may have known the Reverend E.C. Tillman, a state representative. He licensed me when I was 16 years old and ordained me, and I consider him my father in the ministry, and he considered me one of his sons. And so I'm honored to be here. I've been here before, even as the chaplain for the day. But today seems to be very special because our state is one of the leading states in this country, and I believe that, even as an African American. I believe that the state of Georgia is a good state. I've never worked in any other state but the state of Georgia. Went to Berry College in Emory, and I'm a Georgia man. And I'm very proud of that and very proud to be here this morning. I'm a Baptist preacher, and they told me 5 minutes. And then they say 5-ish minutes. And so we'll see how the 5-ish goes this morning. But I try to be true to my time, and I want to thank you for your service even before I began this morning. It takes a lot to offer yourselves to be an elected official in these times, and I appreciate all of you for offering yourself, because it takes a servant to offer themselves for these political positions. I want to draw our attention just for a few moments, Mr. Speaker, to Micah, the 6th chapter and the 8th verse. Micah 6 and 8. He has shown thee, O man, what is good, and what is it that the Lord require of thee, but to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. It's one thing that man requires of us. It is something totally other, what God requires of us. And I know that as you sit here day after day during the legislative session, perhaps you have thought about, what is it that God requires of me? What is it that my spirit is calling me to do? And I think that's a good place to be. I've learned in my 47 years of pastoring that it is one thing to know about God, and it's another thing to know God. That is one of the fundamental principles of our faith. I know about Michael Jordan. I do. I know about him. But I don't know him. I know about Governor Kemp. He's a good governor, in my opinion, but I don't know him. When I was in Sunday school, I learned a lot about God, but that didn't mean that I know God. Because when you know God, you conduct yourself in a different way. You think differently. You treat your neighbors differently. You look at the poor, the disenfranchised differently. You look at the person sitting next to you differently when you know God. Because what determines how we see other people is the lenses through which we view them. And it's one thing to say I know, and it's one thing to truly, truly know. The newly elected district attorney in Glenn County, Keith Higgins, I spoke at the M.L. King commemorative service in Brunswick last month. And he gave me a medallion that said the Micah 6 scripture. What is it that God requires of me? To do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. What does it mean as an elected official into the galleries to be one who proclaims to be a person of faith, to do justice? Do is a verb, and it requires action. A lot of people think they're going to get to heaven by talking. Some of us are politicians and preachers and lawyers. We're great talkers. And we take great pride in listening to ourselves talk. I know I do. I confess it. But it says do. What is it that we do that makes a difference? What is it that we do towards justice? Not only for ourselves or certain clans or certain people, but for all of God's children, all of God's creation, those that we agree with, those that we disagree with, those who were raised in public housing and those who were raised in mansions. What is it that we do towards justice that makes us one? That's why I love reading the Bible. And I find the Bible, it's the #1 bestseller in the world. People may not know that. The #1 bestseller book in the world is the Holy Bible. To do justice, to not just talk about it, to legislate justice, and not just justice for a few, but justice for all. That requires a certain type of person, a certain type of human being, a certain man, a certain type of woman, to have a desire to do justice, so that when people look at you, when people converse with you, they look beyond you and they see justice. They see the symbol of God. They see the mark of God. To do justice, to love mercy. Some of you may be aware that today is what we call in the Christian tradition Fat Tuesday. And right now, Mardi Gras is going on in New Orleans. Both of my daughters are over there right now. Mardi Gras is the last day before Lent, where you're supposed to get all your sinning out. All your reveling out. All of your bad stuff out. So they're there and they're reveling and having a great time, Mr. Speaker, because on tomorrow is Ash Wednesday. For 40 days, you're supposed to be repentant. For 40 days, you're supposed to be forgiving, more forgiving. To love mercy. To love mercy. Not just have an association with mercy. Not just to have some knowledge of mercy. But as elected officials, you are called to demonstrate mercy. Which means you have to get outside of yourselves. To get outside of yourself. Dr. King said, we need leaders, not in love with themselves, not in love with money, but in love with justice, not in love with publicity, but in love with humanity. That's what you are called to do. That's what you are called to be as elected officials in the state. To love mercy. To epitomize mercy, to embody mercy. Lent is a very important part of our church, 40 days. I ask people to think of some things they could give up for 40 days. And then I ask them to think of things that they could take on for 40 days, like trying to be kind to folk for 40 days, not cussing anybody out for 40 days. I know that's kind of impossible, young folks, for some of us, But just what can I give up, but what can I take on? I'm going to be nice to the Speaker of the House of Representatives for 40 days. Oh, no. To love mercy. That's what we're called to do, to exemplify, to embody, and then to walk humbly with our God. Pride comes before the fall. To walk humbly. To be a servant, you have to be humble. Representative Townsend. And I think you embody that as well. That's how we met. Delivering books for little children, underprivileged children, 300 plus miles away. As the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. To walk humbly with our God is one of the best traits that a person could exemplify. You mentioned President Carter. I met President Carter when I was at Ebenezer Baptist Church as a full-time assistant pastor there. Daddy King still living as pastor emeritus. And President Carter came to speak. Mrs. King had invited him to speak. I was in my, I guess, 24 years old, 25 years old when I met President Carter. You're talking about a man, in my opinion, who exemplifies what this scripture talks about. To love God, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. We keep President Carter, his wife, and his family in our prayers. I want to be the best me in 2023. That was my theme for the year, New Year's. Creating the best me. I'm a pretty good guy as I am. I know this. Nobody had to tell me this. I'm a pretty good guy. But I know I can be better. I know I can be more loving. I know I can be more compassionate. I know that I can be more generous. I know that I could be more caring. So I want to create the best me in 2023. Joshua 1:9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord thy God will be with thee whithersoever you goeth." No need to be afraid. No need to be discouraged. Know that God is with you always, whithersoever you goeth. What doth the Lord require thee? But to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Let us pray. O God, our Creator, the giver of all humanity, we thank you for this day, for these elected officials, these your servants, who offer themselves in service to humanity. We pray for a covering upon them in this session, that God, you will imbue them with courage and insight, fortitude that will cause them to dream impossible dreams and to fight unbeatable foes. Thank you for their willingness. Thank you for their courage. Now we ask this day that you will shower them with your blessings, that whatever they do might be pleasing in your sight. Thank you for our speaker, for all of the officers, for all of these elected officials. Bless, guard, and keep them as they legislate on behalf of all Georgians, is our prayer. We pray this prayer in faith and in the mighty name of him who sets the perfect example of us, for us, how to love one another. Jesus the Christ, we pray. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pastor. That was a powerful, powerful devotion. Thank you so much. Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Members may greet the pastor, the chaplain, in the South Anteroom. Thank you. Chair recognizes Chairman Tarvin, the Chair of the Committee on Information and Audits. Chairman Tarvin.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal from the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And just something else to think about, the only way to truly avoid criticism is do nothing, say nothing, or be nothing.
Well, Chairman, that's very profound. And this body certainly will not avoid criticism because they're doing a lot, and they are much appreciated. Thank you, Chairman Tarvin. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you please read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Stration, the 104th moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, second reading of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions, morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 445 by Representative Mathiak, the 74th, Hatchett of the 155th, Smith, the 70th, Gunner of the 8th, Powell, the 33rd, and others. A bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 26 and Title 43, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to nurses.
Health.
House Bill 446 by Representative Reeves, the 99th, Silcox, the 53rd, Hilton of the 48th, Daniel, the 117th, Crow, the 118th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 16 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to crimes and offenses.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 447 by Representative Vance of the 133rd, Collins the 71st, Mitchell the 88th, Powell the 33rd, Williamson the 112th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 40 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to motor vehicles and traffic.
Motor vehicles.
House Bill 448 by Representative Schofield, the 63rd, Mitchell, the 88th, Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Bennett, the 94th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 24, Title 33 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 449 by Representative Knight of the 134th, Corbett of the 174th, Rhodes of the 124th, Cannon of the 172nd, Burkle of the 169th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions for ad valorem taxation.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 450 by Representative Gunner of the 8th, Smith of the 18th, Abstration of the 104th, Burchett of the 176th, Reeves of the 99th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 15 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to courts in general.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 451 by Representative Seaball, the 34th, Kennard to the 101st, Hitchens, the 161st, Gaines in the 120th, Camp of the 135th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 45 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to public officers and employees.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 452 by Representative Perkle, 169, Jaspers to the 11th, Meeks to the 178th, Rhodes to the 124th, Knight to the 134th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 2 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to agriculture.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 453 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, Cooper the 45th, Sharper the 177th, Hawkins the 27th, Seaball the 34th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to health.
Public and Community Health.
House Bill 454 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Wilkerson of the 38th, Knight of the 134th. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to revenue and taxation.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 455 by Representative LaHood of the 175th, Cooper of the 45th, Newton of the 127th, Silcox of the 53rd, Reese of the 140th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to professions and businesses.
Health.
House Bill 456 by Representative Gunner of the 8th, Lumsden of the 12th, Scoggins of the 14th, Silcox of the 53rd, Collins of the 71st. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 32 of Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding municipal courts.
Judiciary.
House Bill 457 by Representative Ballard of the 147th, Irwin of the 32nd, Wade of the 9th, Dubnik of the 29th, Corbett of the 174th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 6 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to employment under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 458 by Representative Perkel of the 169th, Corbett of the 174th, Williams of the 148th, and Rose of the 124th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 23 of Title 2 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to hemp farming.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 459 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th, Collins of the 71st, Gunner of the 8th, Hitchens of the 161st, Scoggins of the 14th. A bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 1511-702 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to children's fingerprints.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 460 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd, Camp of the 135th, Reeves of the 99th, and Silcox of the 53rd. Bill be titled an act to amend to Chapter 11 of Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Juvenile Code.
Juvenile Justice.
House Bill 462 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd, Gunther of the 8th, Burchett of the 176th, Oliver of the 82nd, Camp of the 135th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 11 of Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Juvenile Code.
Juvenile Justice.
House Bill 463 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd, Saints of the 180th, Hitchens of the 161st. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 35.3.4 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to powers and duties of the Bureau generally.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 465 by Representative Powell of the 33rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 27 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated the Georgia Lottery for Education Act.
Regulated Industries.
House Bill 466 by Representative Bonner of the 73rd, Jenkins of the 136th, Cannon of the 172nd, and Clark of the 100th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 24A of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to massage therapy practice.
Interstate Cooperation.
House Bill 467 by Representative Tarvin of the 2nd, Cameron of the 1st. A bill be titled an act to amend Title 15, Title 36, Title 45, and Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to courts and local governments.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 468 by Representative Bentley of the 150th. Bill be titled an act to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Butler.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 469 by Representative Hoxton of the 170th, Hagan of the 156th, Jones of the 25th, McCollum of the 30th, Crow of the 118th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 27 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to loitering at or disrupting schools.
Education.
House Bill 470 by Representative Cooper of the 45th, Parrish of the 158th, Leverett of the 123rd, Smith of the 18th, Reeves of the 99th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 24 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to medical and other confidential information.
Judiciary.
House Bill 471 by Representative Crowe of the 118th, Powell of the 33rd, Washburn of the 144th, Roberts of the 52nd, Reeves of the 99th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to commerce and trade.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 472 by Representative Crowe of the 118th, Blackman of the 146th, Hitchens of the 161st, Lumsden of the 12th, Powell of the 33rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Employee Retirement System of Georgia.
Retirement.
House Bill 473 by Representative Deloach of the 167th. The bill be titled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 2 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to bingo.
Regulated Industries.
House Bill 474 by Representative Daniel, 117th, and Mathiak of the 74th. Bill be titled an act to provide a homestead exemption for Spalding County School District ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 475 by Representative Smith, the 18th year to the 152nd, Franklin to the 160th, Scoggins the 14th, Bear to the 24th. Bill be titled an act to amend the official code of Georgia annotated so as to revise, modernize, and correct errors.
Code revision.
House Bill 476 by Representative Beverly, the 143rd, Bennett to the 94th, Fryer the 122nd. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 48.729.6 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to tax credits.
Ways and means.
House Bill 477 by Representative Lever to the 123rd, Petrie the 166th, Prince the 132nd, and Jackson the 128th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 12 with Title 2 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to soil amendments.
Natural resources and environment.
House Bill 478 by Representative Holly, the 116th, Gilliard, the 162nd, Crawford to the 84th, Park on the 107th, Holcomb to the 81st. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 161330 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to purchase, possession, and manufacture and distribution. We got several of them this morning.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 479 by Representative Hutchinson, the 106th, Hughley, the 141st, Schofield, the 63rd, Crawford, to the 84th, Paris, the 142nd. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 19 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding adoption.
Judiciary.
House Bill 484 by Representative Carter, the 93rd, Beverly, 143rd, Evans, the 57th, Oliver, the 82nd, Blackman, the 146th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 3, Title 47 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to the teachers' retirement system of Georgia.
Retirement.
House Bill 485 by Representative McLean to the 109th, Gilliard to the 162nd, Fryer the 122nd, Alexander to the 66th, Hughley the 141st, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 34 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to minimum wage law.
Industry and labor. Mr. Clerk, if you'll suspend just for a moment. Mr. Clerk, proceed.
House Bill 484 by Representative Carter, the 93rd, Beverly, the 143rd, Evans, the 57th, Oliver, the 82nd, Blackman, the 146th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 3, Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to the Teachers' Retirement System of Georgia.
Retirement.
House Bill 486 by Representative Evans, the 89th, Bentley, the 150th, Evans, the 57th, Fleming, the 125th, Mathis, the 49th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 14 to Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to cemetery and funeral services.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 487 by Representative Newton, the 127th, Iowa, the 50th, Cooper, the 45th, and Campbell, the 135th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 5 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to assault and battery and first related offenses.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 488 by Representative Reeves, the 99th, Daniel, the 117th, Hilton, the 48th, Washburn, the 144th, Fry, the 122nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 7, Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to income taxes.
Ways and
House
Means.
Bill 489 by Representative Horner, the 3rd, and Donahue, the 31st, Clark, the 100th. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 48740.26 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated the Georgia Entertainment Industry Investment Act.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 490 by Representative Fry, the 122nd, Basemore, the 69th, Willis, the 55th, Holcomb, the 81st, Roman, and the 97th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to income taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Resolution 229 by Representative Draper, the 90th. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to revise a provision relating to filling of vacancies.
Governmental Affairs.
House Resolution 230 by Representative Hatchett, the 155th. A resolution honoring the life of Deputy Emery A. Rowland and dedicating a road in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 231 by Representative Houston, the 170th, Williams, the 168th, Hitchens, the 161st. A resolution recognizing the Westbury and Vietnam War veterans and dedicating a bridge in their memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 232 by Representative Hutchinson of the 106th, Cooper, the 45th, Roman, the 97th, Beverly, the 143rd, Iowa, the 50th, and others. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on evaluating, simplifying, and eliminating.
Public and Community Health.
Senate Bill 12 by Senator Albers, the 56th, Robertson, the 29th, Dugan, the 30th, Payne, the 54th, Beach, the 21st, and others. The bill being titled an act to amend Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to crimes and offenses.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
Senate Bill 56 by Senators Huffstetler, the 52nd, and Williams, the 25th. The bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to ad valorem taxation.
Retirement.
Senate Bill 84 by Senator Huffstetler, the 52nd, Estevez of the 6th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Williams the 25th, Watson the 1st, and others. The bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated the Georgia Uniform Securities Act of 2008.
Banks and Banking.
Senate Bill 93 by Senator Anna Duarte, the 31st, Kennedy the 18th, Gooch the 51st, Robertson the 29th, Brass the 28th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 29 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to information technology.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
Senate Bill 112 by Senator Anna Duarte, the 31st, Robertson the 29th, Payne the 51st, Gooch the 51st, Hickman the 4th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to vocational, technical, and adult education.
Higher Education.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. You may want to move these conversations to the anteroom so you can really hear one another and solve some problems in this body. So if you don't mind, move some of the conversations to the anteroom. Second readings, the clerk will read.
House Bill 416 by Representative Silcox of the 53rd, Cooper of the 45th, Stevens of the 164th, Reese of the 140th, Hawkins of the 27th, and others. A bill relating to the practice of pharmacy. House Bill 417 by Representative Knight of the 134th, Cooper of the 45th, Barton of the 5th, Houston of the 170th, Hatchett of the 155th. A bill relating to insurance. House Bill 418 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Leverett of the 123rd, Reeves of the 99th. A bill relating to where and when sales under execution held and change of place of public sales by court order. House Bill 419 by Representative Draper of the 90th, Bernal of the 77th, Oliver of the 82nd, Anulowicz of the 42nd, Schofield of the 63rd, and others. A bill relating to primaries and elections. House Bill 420 by Representative Roberts of the 52nd, Fry of the 122nd, Beverly of the 143rd, Mitchell of the 88th. A bill relating to landlord and tenant. House Bill 421 by Representative Roberts of the 52nd, Holland of the 54th, Tran of the 80th, and Panich of the 51st. A bill relating to general provisions relative to game and fish. House Bill 422 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and Corbett of the 174th. A bill to amend an act to create a Board of Elections and Registration of Ware County. House Bill 423 by Representative Vance of the 133rd, Collins of the 71st, Hitchens of the 161st, Lumpson of the 12th, Powell of the 33rd, and others. A bill relating to general provisions relative to dangerous instrumentalities and practices. House Bill 424 by Representative Vance of the 133rd, Crow of the 118th, Collins of the 71st, Hitchens of the 161st, Lumpson of the 12th, and others. A bill relating to general provisions regarding sheriffs. House Bill 425 by Representative Gullett of the 19th, Sains of the 180th, Mathis of the 149th, Scoggins of the 14th, Lumpson of the 12th, and others. A bill relating to petition for release from registration requirements. House Bill 426 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Taylor of the 173rd, Jones of the 47th, Jaspers of the 11th, Ballinger of the 23rd. A bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 427 by Representative Kennard of the 101st, Jones of the 25th, Holcomb of the 81st, Carpenter of the 4th, Clark of the 108th, and others. A bill relating to post-secondary education. House Bill 428 by Representative Hughley of the 141st, Buckner of the 137th, Alexander of the 66th, Frazier of the 126th, Burnell of the 77th, and others. A bill relating to medical assistance. House Bill 429 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Green of the 154th, Jenkins of the 136th, Evans of the 57th, Mathis of the 149th. A bill relating to the Georgia Comprehensive Solid Waste Management Act. House Bill 430 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Evans of the 57th, Green of the 154th, Jenkins of the 136th. A bill relating to solid waste management. House Bill 431 by Representative Drenner of the 85th, Carter of the 93rd, Holcomb of the 81st, Moore of the 91st, Taylor of the 92nd, and others. A bill relating to county special purpose local option sales tax. House Bill 432 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Clark of the 108th, Beverly of the 143rd, Carter of the 93rd, Cannon of the 58th, and others. A bill relating to definitions relative to fair housing, general provisions regarding education, general provisions regarding labor and industrial relations, and fair employment practices. House Bill 433 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Beverly of the 143rd, Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Bennett of the 94th. A bill relating to general provisions of the General Assembly. House Bill 434 by Representative Hawkins of the 27th, Newton of the 127th, Dempsey of the 13th, Deloach of the 167th, Bennett of the 94th, and others. A bill relating to the Georgia Composite Medical Board. House Bill 435 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Evans of the 57th, Green of the 154th, Jenkins of the 136th. A bill relating to solid waste management. House Bill 437 by Representative Hitchens of the 161st, Lumpson of the 12th, Vance of the 133rd, McCollum of the 30th, Crow of the 118th. A bill relating to insuring and indemnification of public officers and employees. House Bill 438 by Representative Anderson of the 10th, Williamson of the 112th, Parsons of the 44th, Frazier of the 126th, Jones of the 25th, and others. A bill relating to general provisions regarding public utilities, public transportation. House Bill 439 by Representative Houston of the 170th, Meeks of the 178th, Dickey of the 145th, Perkle of the 169th. A bill relating to farmers markets. House Bill 440 by Representative Stoner of the 40th, Cooper of the 45th, Hawkins of the 27th, Irwin of the 32nd, Bentley of the 150th, and others. A bill relating to student health and elementary and secondary education. House Bill 441 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th, Hawkins of the 27th, Hatch of the 155th, Newlitz of the 42nd, Mathis of the 149th, and others. A bill relating to dentists, dental hygienists, and dental assistants. House Bill 442 by Representative Buckner of the 137th. A bill relating to disclosure and dissemination of criminal records to private persons and businesses. House Bill 443 by Representative Horner of the 3rd, Donahue of the 31st, Tarvin of the 2nd, Cameron of the 1st, New of the 64th, and others. Bill relating to display of historically significant documents. House Bill 444 by Representative Reeves of the 99th, Gunter of the 8th, Silcox of the 53rd, Evans of the 57th, Stoner of the 40th. A bill relating to Liz Pendens. House Bill 461 by Representative Thomas of the 21st, Montana of the 17th, Washburn of the 144th, Smith of the 138th, Crow of the 118th. A bill relating to general provisions regarding specific business and occupation taxes. House Bill 464 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Jones of the 47th, Williamson of the 112th, Newton of the 127th, Crow of the 118th, and others. A bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 480 by Representative Franklin of the 160th, Werkheiser of the 157th, McLean of the 109th, Park of the 107th, Thomas of the 65th, and others. A bill relating to workers' compensation. House Bill 481 by Representative Carson of the 46th, Thomas of the 21st, Kelly of the 16th, Taylor of the 173rd, Martin of the 49th, and others. A bill to amend the Public Retirement Systems Investment Authority Law. House Bill 482 by Representative Saines of the 180th, Blackman of the 146th, Williams of the 112th, a bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 483 by Representative Neal of the 79th, a bill relating to income taxes. House Resolution 207 by Representative Smith of the 18th, resolution honoring the life of Mayor William Pete Bridges and dedicating a road in his memory. House Resolution 208 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, resolution honoring the life of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and dedicating a road in his memory. House Resolution 209 by Representative Carsons of the 46th, Lumsden of the 12th, Collins of the 71st, Hitchens of the 161st, Carter of the 93rd, and others. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on Motor Vehicle Crash Fatality Rates. House Resolution 210 by Representative Beverly of the 143rd, Park of the 107th, Evans of the 57th, Mitchell of the 88th, Bennett of the 94th, and others. Resolution proposing amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia so as to authorize the Georgia General Assembly to provide by general law for sports betting, pari-mutuel betting, and casino gambling in the state. House Resolution 211 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Evans of the 57th, Green of the 154th, Jenkins of the 136th. Resolution creating the House Study Committee on Landfills. House Resolution 212 by Representative Moore of the 91st, a resolution proposing amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that members of the General Assembly elected in 2026 and thereafter shall serve 4-year terms of office. House Resolution 215 by Representative Jones of the 60th, a resolution recognizing Women's Golf Day in the state of Georgia. House Resolution 216 by Representative Jones of the 60th, resolution recognizing Women Veterans Day. Senate Bill 6 by Senator Burns of the 23rd, a bill to amend an act authorizing the governing authority of the city of Sylvania to levy an excise tax. Senate Bill 47 by Senator Hofstadler of the 52nd, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Eccles of the 49th, Orrick of the 36th, Beach of the 21st, and others. A bill relating to general offenses against public health and morals. Senate Bill 59 by Senator Hatchett of the 50th, Kennedy of the 18th, Hodges of the 3rd, Goodman of the 8th, Robertson of the 29th, and others. A bill relating to the governor. House Senate Bill 68 by Senator Williams of the 25th, Alberts of the 56th, Anderson of the 24th, Burns of the 23rd, Anna Duarte of the 31st, and others. A bill relating to definitions regarding racketeer, influenced, and corrupt organizations. Senate Bill 73 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, Brass of the 28th, Hatchett of the 50th, Duggan of the 30th, Moore of the 53rd, and others. A bill relating to general provisions relative to telephone service. Senate Bill 130 by Senator Payne of the 54th, Moore of the 53rd, Hofstadler of the 52nd. A bill to amend an act consolidating, amending, and codifying various acts incorporating the city of Dalton through second readers.
Members, if you'll come to order, take seats, and do your best to cease conversation. Well, this morning we have a number of special treats, and they will be introduced more appropriately in the gallery. But we are welcoming a former member of this House, Chairman Jason Shaw. Chairman Shaw. And accompanying Chairman Shaw today is his lovely wife, Katie, and his son, Slayton, who will be better introduced in just a moment. Good to have y'all as well. We have a number of morning orders today, so everyone can have their time and we can move on in the proper order. We're going to ask that the presenters hold it to 1 minute. First morning order is Chairman LaHood, Corbett, Burchett, and Representative Sharper for a morning order. You are recognized for a morning order. Chairman LaHood. Chairman Burchett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. We just wanted to recognize, the Lowndes County delegation wanted to recognize Vilewood School's 4th grade class here today. You just heard former Representative Jason Shaw's son, Slayton, is a part of this class, and we're just so glad you've come today to learn about the 3 branches of government and to see it in action. So, class, if you'd wave to us down here, we just want to welcome you and appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Welcome, young people. Chairman Carpenter. Chairman Carpenter is recognized for a morning order. Chairman Carpenter.
Thank you, Speaker.
Chairman Tarvin, are you accompanying?
Yep, I've got two guys with me here. The ball-headed caucus.
Oh,
Come on in here.
y'all looking good.
Here's a big shout out to Dalton Leadership. Dalton Whitfield's here today. If you guys would wave to show that you are in attendance. Thanks for coming. Appreciate what you do, Phyllis, and the Chamber of Commerce.
Really good group. Saw them this morning. Welcome to the People's House. Glad to have y'all. Chairman Corbett recognized for a morning order. Chairman Stevens will be joining him. This is from one side of the state to the other.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We do have a special group here with us today. They're down in room 230. It's Decoding Dyslexia. Today we introduced House Resolution 101, claiming February 21st is Dyslexia Day at the Capitol. Everybody, especially the new members, if you take just a few minutes, get to meet some of these young kids. They're great. Just listen to their story. They're excellent students, but they have a great story to tell, and we need to continue our work on dyslexia. And if y'all would stand, is Miss Enberg, is she up there today? If not, will y'all wave at us? Y'all stand. Let's thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, ladies. Representative Townsend is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've got a couple joining me. Hopefully, get 1 minute apiece. So, now I just want to recognize the Brunswick Golden Isles Chamber on Brunswick Golden Isles Chamber Day here at the Capitol. Don't forget, today at 5:30, we're having the Low Country Boil, the reception first. So we want to make sure you come again at 5:30 this afternoon. We also did a resolution that you'll hear in a few minutes recognizing the Chamber for their tourism and economic development, and also the importance of the natural beauty that we have on the coast. Also, joining our chamber today, we have a special group from the Golden Isles College and Career Academy. It's the Golden Isles FFA. I want to thank Dylan Dixon, Ethan Stalvey, Amy Stalvey, and Mr. Alston for being here today. And, of course, from the chamber, Ralph Staffen, Cedric King, Sam Tossin, Donna Davis, and President Lonnie Robb from the Coastal Pines. Y'all please stand up. Golden Isles, please stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. Golden Isles Day at the Capitol, 5:30 at the Depot. Thank you.
Did I hear you say there's some wild Georgia shrimp going to be served there? Yes, sir. All right, sounds good. Thank you, Chairman Deloach and Saines as well. Chairman Dickey is recognized for a morning order. And welcome, Golden Isles. Glad to have y'all with us.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know many of you here have FFA chapters in your district, and today is FFA Day. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for coming down to the depot this morning and speaking to our FFA members from across this state. It's one of the largest state FFA memberships in the country, with 77,000 members and 380 local chapters. And we talk about workforce development in this state, and this program, Ag Education, is so important for the career and future of our young people. And it's a wonderful program. And I know I got many in the gallery that if they want to stand, they're walking around the Capitol visiting many of you. And I just thank you for your support of FFA Ag Education, not only in high school, middle school, and as of last year, a permanent curriculum program in our elementary schools. So it's great success and great group of young people that are being prepared for future generations to come. And we got a former state FFA president here standing with me, Stephen Meeks. Chairman Meeks, Chairman, former state president, and just a few years ago, and you see where it got him. So thank you, and thank you FFA members across our state.
Mr. Chairman, that proves that fact is stranger than fiction sometimes. Welcome to the Blue and Gold. We're glad to have FFA here. You had a great crowd at Depot this morning. Representative Montahan is recognized for a morning order. And a group of friends.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I would like to take a moment to recognize some great friends that are joining us in the gallery this morning. Leadership Paulding 33 is a civic organization based out of the Paulding County Chamber of Commerce, and over the years, these groups have taken on a multitude of civic relief projects, filling the gap for the needs of the community that would otherwise not be filled. They do these projects all the while building themselves as leaders in Paulding County, and we thank them for their service. If y'all will please help me welcome this group of leaders to the People's House. Welcome. Y'all please stand. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning. Good to have y'all. Appreciate you being here. Representative Sheila Jones. Sheila Jones is recognized for a morning order. Representative Jones. You wave? We'll get you later then. Representative Rhonda Taylor and the Rockdale delegation. Rockdale delegation. Representative Taylor.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. They were coming up just a while ago. Good morning, colleagues. I just want to ask that you help us welcome the Leadership Rockdale team in the House. They're here today with us. They were coming up the elevator a second ago. If you're in the House, Leadership Rockdale, please stand. They're not in here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clap for them anyway.
Oh.
Clap for me. They're coming.
I'll recognize them when they show up.
Thank you. I yield the well.
I know they're on the way. Representative Horner, recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the first time to the well, so it's a very important moment. I want to welcome my local FFA chapter from all the way from Catoosa County. They drove a long way, so I expect a big welcome from Lakeview High School. Thank you.
You did yourself proud there, Representative Horner, on your first time in the well, and welcome to Catoosa County FFA. Whip Burchett, do you have a morning order? Oh, yes, you have a morning order. Whip Burchett's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize our Valdosta High School FFA, both their coordinators, Donnie Warren, Jesse Bolin, Victoria Solomon, Jared Wayne, and then the president, Bo Hicks, and treasurer, Frank Soriano. If you guys stand and be recognized from Valdosta High School. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Williamson, Chairman Williamson, recognized for morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Walton County, Georgia's got a very long and proud tradition of agriculture. Today we have some future farmers from Carver Middle School. They are few, they are proud, and they are female. If your delegation will stand up there, help welcome Brianna and Kayla and their advisors. Thank you for coming, young ladies.
That completes our morning orders, but we're going to have Representative Karen Lupton to introduce our doctor of the day, who was on the way and got held up with some important business downstairs. So we'll make sure our doctor is recognized appropriately when they're able to get here. But Representative Lupton, if you'll come up and tell us about our doctor of the day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I wish to represent and present to you Dr. Richard Kaufman, our doctor of the day. Dr. Richard Kaufman was raised and educated in the Amish Mennonite tradition.
Please suspend just for a moment. Members, we need your attention. Members, this is important. These physicians give their time to come down and meet with us and take care of us, so let's properly listen to their public service and their credentials, if you will. Representative Lupton, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dr. Richard Kaufman was raised and educated in the Amish Mennonite tradition, spending his younger years on an Amish farm in Montezuma, Georgia. He was an Amish dairy farmer until the age of 26, and his education up till that point was strictly parochial through the 8th grade. He did not receive any further formal education until 1970. Dr. Kaufman then went on to obtain his undergraduate degree at Berry College, graduating magna cum laude, and then received his MD from the Medical College of Georgia in 1976. He is a member of Alpha Chi of the National College Honor Society, as well as Alpha Omega Alpha within the Honor Medical Society. Dr. Kaufman speaks 3 languages, English, German, and Spanish. This has greatly helped him on his travels around the world, engaging in mission trips with the United Methodist Church, and giving his time to volunteer with Haitian earthquake relief in 2010. Dr. Kaufman is currently an associate professor of medicine at Mercer University, works at North Atlanta Primary Care, and is a member of the AIDS Research Consortium of Atlanta. We thank Dr. Kaufman for all of his work over the years in many areas all over the globe, including South Africa, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malawi, and of course, the great state of Georgia. Thank you, Dr. Richard Kaufman.
Thank you, Representative Lupton. Boy, Dr. Kaufman's pretty qualified. I'm surprised he has time to come mess around with us. Goodness, he's a busy man. And we certainly appreciate Dr. Kaufman. Hopefully he'll be able to join us so we can recognize him, but if not, I encourage you all to stop by and just say hello and thank him for his service to us. That completes morning orders. We're ready to move on to the rules calendar. Ready to move to the rules calendar. You ready, Mr. Clerk? I ask the clerk to read the caption to HB 242.
House Bill 242 by Representative Hitchens, the 161st and others to be titled an act to amend Article 10 of Chapter 21 of Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the Georgia Drivers Education Commission so as to provide for additional penalty for violation of traffic laws or ordinances under Joshua's Law. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Motor Vehicles, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Chair recognizes Chairman Hitchens to present the bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is a bill that I had last year, and it went all the way through the House, through the Senate, and actually was the number 2 bill on the agenda when the Lieutenant Governor decided to give his going away speech, so it didn't make it. So I'm running again this year. It's a driver training bill. I'm doing it on behalf of the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. And in 2005, Senate Bill 205, known as Joshua's Law, created a surcharge on all traffic citations in Georgia. Originally 5%, during the recession it was reduced to 1.5%. The assessment of the fee sunset on June 30th, 2022, which was last June, when the bill to increase the fee to 3% and to remove the sunset failed to be brought to the Senate floor on sine die. House Bill 242 reestablishes the surcharge collection on traffic violations at 3% and will collect an estimated $5.3 million annually, resulting in 10,000 driver's education grant scholarships awarded annually. Scholarships are currently awarded on a tiered priority system. First priority is given to grant scholarship applicants who are a child or dependent of a public safety professional disabled or killed in the line of duty, dependents and children of members of the United States military killed in the line of duty. And as a result of this bill last year, we incorporated into the rules in the Governor's Office of Highway Safety that foster children in the custody of the state of Georgia through DFACS will also get first priority. Second priority is given to scholarship applicants who can demonstrate a need based on family income. Financial need eligibility is currently based on 175% of the free and reduced price school meal eligibility. Currently including Each month, the program runs out of money and denies student scholarship applications because demand for the scholarship is so high. If more grant scholarship applications are submitted than grant scholarships are available in each priority level, grant scholarships are awarded using a computer-generated random selection method from the priority level applications. Grant scholarships are evenly divided among Georgia's congressional districts to ensure that all Georgians are considered despite geographical location. Rejected applicants are automatically reconsidered for the next 2 cycles. The program is open to public, high school, technical colleges, universities, and other state-owned driver education programs, and privately owned commercial for-profit driving schools and nonprofit organizations and private schools. The program awards driver education grant scholarships to students ages 15 to 17 years old who seek to complete a 36-hour, 30 hours of classroom instruction and 6 hours behind the wheel of a vehicle with an approved driver's education program. A recent evaluation of the scholarship program showed that students who received scholarships were in significantly fewer crashes, had higher road skills, and higher test scores. They also have fewer convictions, fewer crashes, and fewer serious injuries and fatalities from crashes than students who did not complete the 36-hour course. In calendar year 2022, there were 1,792 fatalities on Georgia highways. That's the second highest number of traffic fatalities recorded since 1974, behind the 2021 high of 1,818. Only 4 states in the country are ahead of us in traffic fatalities. That's California, 3, California, Texas, and Florida, all who have double the population that we have in the state. So we very obviously have some difficult drivers. The annual collection of the Driver Training Fund has steadily declined since fiscal year 2017 as fewer citations are issued throughout the state. There's less law enforcement presence in the state, and there are a lot of diversion programs. I'd be happy to take any questions. If there aren't any, I'd appreciate your favorable consideration.
Gentleman yield, you have a couple of questions.
I yield.
Representative Williams to your left is recognized for a question.
Gentleman yield.
I yield.
You look like you wasn't going to yield, but
Well, I didn't know it was going to be you.
Is it not true that this is a very good bill, and I support this bill? But is it not further true that you explained so much of it, I'm confused now? And thirdly, since this is your second year bringing it, and 3 is a charm, we'll see you next year.
I hope not.
Well, I won't say I hope not either, but let's go on. Let's see. The chair recognizes Representative Kennard for a question to your left, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, yield.
I yield.
Isn't it true that I have utmost respect for the author of this bill and the intention? However, I voted no in committee because I was concerned about the unintentional consequences and disparate impact, financial impact on the poor because of the increase, and the fact that the broader poorer community does not have access to the scholarship because it's not needs-based.
Because it's what?
Not needs-based.
It is need-based. The first tier is need-based, but the second tier is need-based. And there's a third tier for all others, but the applications have exceeded the ability to fund them, and it's never gone to the third tier. So everybody that gets it is either the child of somebody's been killed in the line of duty, a foster child, or somebody that has financial need.
Okay. Would you yield for one more question?
Sure.
Isn't it true that I'm going to vote yes for this, hopeful that the Senate will perfect it even further?
Well, I certainly hope it passes.
That's a green vote, Mr. Chairman. I'd take it.
Yeah. I don't know about the Senate, though.
Well, there's that part. Chair Lady Dempsey is recognized for a question, if you'll yield.
I yield.
Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you so much for bringing this again. I know it's really hard when we get measures through here and they almost get out of the other chamber and don't. But I want to make sure that you and everyone in this chamber knows that Joshua's mother is a friend of mine.
Right.
She lives in Rome. She's a great mom. Her heart was broken at the loss of her son. And what this does to carry on and help with the healing and help prevent those outcomes is so very important. Thank you.
And I appreciate that thought. I've never talked to the mother, but I've talked to the father previously of Joshua, and he has the same feelings about it.
Chairman, yield for one more.
One more.
Representative Jasmine Clark from the 108th to your left.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Is it not true that prior to this lapsing, because the Senate failed to vote on it, the fee was actually 1.5%?
It was. The bill last year tried up at 3% because of the demand.
All right. Does the gentleman further yield?
I yield.
Just to clarify, this is just a one-time fee that will be tacked on to violations, any traffic violation.
Well, my perspective is on it that those people who disobey the traffic laws and make it dangerous for everybody pay to train those future drivers so that they'll do better.
Thank you.
I yield the well, Mr. Speaker. Appreciate your favorable consideration.
The gentleman has yielded the well, and we have no one who's speaking to the bill. So is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. For what purpose does Chairman Prince rise?
To make a motion. I move that House Rule, I accept House Rule 133 and be excused from this vote.
So recognized and so done. Representative Montahan, do you have a parliamentary inquiry?
Just pursuant to House Rule 133, I'd like to be excused from the vote.
We can accommodate it as well. Both of you are excused from the vote. Have all members now voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 161, the nays 9. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, if you'll read the caption to HB 243.
House Bill 243 by Representative Smith, the 70th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 1615.6.2 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating the number of judges to superior courts so as to provide for an 8th judge of the superior courts of the Coweta Judicial Circuit. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Lynn Smith is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. This bill is very similar to a bill that's already passed the General Assembly this year. It was House Bill 77, which is the Daugherty County Judicial Circuit. So to draw a comparison for y'all while you consider this bill, think of me as Gerald Green's fraternal twin. So this bill emphasizes the need for another Superior Court judge, the 8th judge for the Coweta Circuit. This judge is needed to help, as most of these cases, to deal with a serious caseload in my circuit. It has passed all the budgetary considerations. It has the support of the community. It passed out of the committee unanimously, and I ask for your favorable support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The lady has no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 172, the nays 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, if you will read the caption to HB 80.
House Bill 80 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 14 and Title 24 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding proof generally, so as to enact the Uniform Unsworn Declarations Act. This bill I refer to the Committee on Judiciary. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Representative Leverett is recognized to present the bill. Representative Leverett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I'm pleased to present to you today House Bill 80. This is part of the continuing initiative that we've undertaken as a General Assembly to assist with making Atlanta and Georgia a center for international arbitration. You may remember last year we passed the Uniform Mediation Act, which takes great strides toward that goal. This is sort of continuing that same move. It's got a very limited impact, though, but in doing so, it's very important. It authorizes a court to consider a written statement that has not been signed before a notary. Customarily, in pretrial proceedings, that is before the trial, matters have to be considered by the court, and the court rules on motions and things of that nature. And if it needs to consider written testimony, it does so by affidavit. That's a signed written statement that's signed in the presence of a notary. Most of the time, that's not that difficult a logistical step, but if you're overseas, that can be extremely difficult because you've got to go before a consul or vice consul to get him or her to sign in the place of a notary, and that requires an appointment. It may take a lot of travel, and oftentimes the appointments are months out, and not only are they months out, when you show up, the consuls doesn't completely control their own schedule. That's controlled more by international events. And so you may not be able to attend. The consul may not be able to make the appointment, so you have to then come back 3 months later. So it can be a very, very difficult process, and during that whole process, the case is delayed, the disposition and the final judgment is delayed. So this would allow another option. It allows somebody who is out of the country to sign a written statement that, while it doesn't have to be signed in the presence of a notary, would have to be signed under penalty of perjury. And the document has to be in a certain form where there's a notice above the signature saying that you're signing it under penalty of perjury. That's basically the same end result as signing in the presence of a notary. It's under penalty of perjury, and if you're lying, you can be prosecuted for perjury. So we simply add that as an option for civil cases and arbitrations when there is a witness who is out of country and needs to submit written testimony to the court. So it's fairly limited in its application. And this is not something new. It is new to Georgia, but it's not new. Federal courts have allowed this for about 50 years, and somewhere between 20 and 30 states allow this in some form or the other. Some even allow you to submit a written declaration if you are located in the U.S. or in state. We're not going quite that far. It has to be a statement where you're signing when you are outside the United States, but it would greatly assist the progress of these cases, would reduce costs. It's simplifying a logistical step to achieve the same end. And it will help, especially in these international cases where we have businesses overseas or witnesses overseas, and they can submit written testimony that way. So the bill is supported and was actually initiated by the Atlanta International Arbitration Society. It's supported by the Board of Governors of the State Bar of Georgia, and it will help us not only in terms of making sure that arbitrations and cases can be disposed of more efficiently and quicker. It will reduce the cost for the parties involved. So I would request that you please do vote in favor of this legislation, and I will yield the well for any questions.
Gentlemen, yield for a question.
I yield.
To your left, Representative Clark has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
What type of cases are we talking about here? Are we talking about criminal cases? Are we talking about civil cases? Both?
As we say in the game show business, I'm glad you asked that question. It would not apply to criminal cases at all. We initially, as filed, it would have, but we subsequently revised the bill to exclude criminal cases. It only applies to civil cases, civil administrative proceedings before some government agency, or an arbitration.
Does the gentleman further yield?
I yield.
So it says that it will be under the penalty of perjury, but if the person is overseas or in another country, how exactly would that penalty be enforced if they're not in the United States?
Well, there could be enforcement through the auspices of the court in that initial proceeding. It could exclude the testimony, or it could penalize the party that offered the testimony. And at some point, they might need to come to Georgia, and then they would be subject to the jurisdiction of the criminal law.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Gentleman, yield for one more.
I yield.
Representative Thomas, to your right, is recognized.
Can I rescind my yielding, Mr. Speaker?
Too late now.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
yield.
Speaker. Just, is it not true that I actually enjoyed your speeches a lot better when you put Yogi Bear quotes in the front?
I'm sure it is. That always does spice it up.
Actually, I want to tell you, I think this is a good bill, and I appreciate you bringing it. Thank you.
I appreciate that question, Representative Thomas. Thank you.
The gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would ask your favorable consideration of House Bill 80, and I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Excuse me, the chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 174, the nays 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to HB 186? 186.
House Bill 186 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd and others to be titled an act to amend Title V of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to appeal and error so as to revise an exception applicable to the filing of petitions for review in reviewing courts from lower judicatories. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
I hope you won't disappoint and you'll have some quotes this time. The gentleman is recognized to present the bill. Representative Leverett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, as Yogi Berra once said, I know having me come back up here seems like deja vu all over again, but I have another bill and it just happened to make it on the calendar day. House Bill 186 amends the State and Superior Court Appellate Practice Act. This body passed it almost unanimously last year, and it actually was signed by the governor. As you recall, it made a very significant change in the way you can appeal a decision of a lower court to a state or superior court. There was a very old, archaic process called petition for certiorari that we eliminated in that context, and replaced with a thing called a petition for review, which is clearly set out in statute. We tried to answer all the questions that sometimes arise in those kinds of appeals and trying to provide a more uniform, simpler process so that cases could get heard on the merits, which is sort of the goal, I think, of our system of justice. Because it was such a significant change, it was a judicial council bill that had been worked on for about 4 or 5 years, we made the effective date this July instead of last July in case we missed a few things, and we missed a few things. There were some cross-references in other parts of the code to petition for cert that we had to change to petition for review. There was one other section where we had referred to some exceptions to some of the standards of review, and we only referred to one of them, and we came back and just made it a little broader statement to make it clear that we're not trying to change a standard of review. We're just trying to change the process by which you invoke that review. So it is literally a very simple bill, and it just simply fixes some cross-references that we didn't catch the first time around. So I'll yield for any questions, Mr. Speaker.
It's not a simple bill, but you did a good job, so you have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your favorable support, and I'll yield the well.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 173, the nays 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is thereby passed. Mr. Clerk, if you'll read the caption to HB 221. HB 221.
House Bill 221 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th and others to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 33921 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to maintenance and filing rates, rating plans, rating systems, or underwriting rules, and examination of claims. This bill I referred to the Committee on Insurance. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Lumsden is recognized to present the bill.
Mr. Speaker, members of the House, I bring to you House Bill 221. This is a department bill that comes as a request from the Insurance Commissioner. It deals with rate filings for automobile insurance. This bill keeps the current file and use model in place for the state mandated minimum filings and adds a 60-day waiting period for all other filings. This is a compromise bill that all affected parties have agreed to. It provides adequate time for the department to review the filings and provides a guarantee of speed to market for the insurers. Mr. Chairman, Speaker, that's the bill. I would appreciate your favorable support.
Would the gentleman yield for a question?
I'll yield for a question.
Representative Bazemore from the 69th to your left has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good
Is it
morning.
not true that I've had a similar bill for a couple of years, and I appreciate you bringing this bill, and I support it?
It was similar into what it addressed. This attacks it in a slightly different way, but I appreciate your concern for this. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all working together. I see no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With that, I'll yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? The clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 169, the nays 2. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. The clerk will read the caption to House Bill 279. 279.
House Bill 279 by Representative Gamble of the 15th and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 32 and Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to property insurance so as to provide for an insurance premium discount or rate reduction for property owners who build a new residential or commercial property. This bill having referred to the Committee on Insurance, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Gamble is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I rise today on House Bill 279. You may be familiar with this bill. It's the same bill that we passed last year, 174-0, and it made it all the way over to the Senate, and unfortunately we ran out of time on sine die. But basically what House Bill 279 does is that it promotes an insurance industry program called Fortified, encouraging people to build more resilient structures. It is a voluntary and will remain that way under House Bill 279. It's a voluntary program. This is for people who do build to a fortified standard and have their structure certified as such. It would require insurance companies to offer a reduction, an adjustment, or a credit of some kind that they determine on their own. The insurance companies get to decide that incentive, and again, that's completely determined by them. Consumers can shop around for better rates if they are not satisfied with they're not satisfied with the reductions in premiums, but it will help to bring insurance companies back into markets that are riskier. So if you live in an area that's more susceptible to tornadoes or to hurricanes, it could potentially help to bring insurance companies back into those areas. The insurance companies support this legislation. The insurance commissioner is good with this bill. And again, this is a unique concept that we're starting to see where homeowners or those individuals building commercial properties can build to this fortified standard. And we're hoping to encourage more people to do that. So, Mr. Speaker, that's the bill, and I'm happy to yield for questions.
The gentleman has a question if you'll yield.
I yield.
Representative Clark to your left has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield, yes.
So a lot of times when they are discounting one person, they make up the difference by charging another person a little bit more. Is there any protections for those who don't have the funds to retrofit or fortify their places where they live? Are there any protections from them bearing the brunt of the discounts offered to those who do?
I appreciate your question, and I would say that I think the spirit of this legislation is to encourage those that build to this standard, and again, it's completely voluntary. It can be a retrofit situation where you retrofit your residential or commercial property, or you can build a new residential or commercial property to this standard. The insurance company will determine that incentive on their own, but we're just trying to encourage that through this legislation. So to speak specifically to your question, I'm not exactly sure that I necessarily agree that that would happen, but that is not addressed in this legislation.
Thank you.
With that, Mr. Speaker, I would ask for this body's favorable consideration on House Bill 279, and I yield the well.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 172, the nays 1. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Will the clerk read the caption to HB 280? HB 280.
House Bill 280 by Representative Gamble, the 15th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance generally, so as to provide for additional value-added products or services that are excluded from being unfair trade practices and unlawful inducements in insurance. This bill having referred to the Committee on Insurance, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Gamble is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. It seems like it's Insurance Day at the Capitol today. I'm back with House Bill 280, another insurance-related bill, and I want you to go with me. We were in the property and casualty side of insurance. Now we're over onto the life and health side of insurance. This bill builds off of a piece of legislation that we passed last year that allowed a property and casualty agent to sell or to offer a smoke detector or water leak sensor in the sale of property and casualty. What this bill does is it would allow a insurer for a life or health policy to offer a blood pressure cuff, a Fitbit, some type of personal health device in the sale of life or health insurance. The product has to be of value that's reasonable in relation to the premium, so this cannot be an expensive item. But the thought behind this legislation is that if you have that technology, it might help to minimize or lower your risk for stroke and high blood pressure and things like that. So that's what this bill does, is it would allow those products to be offered in the sale of life or health insurance. With that, I'm happy to yield for questions.
You have a question if you'll yield.
I will yield.
Representative Bentley, straight in the rear to your left, has a question. Representative Bentley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield to my good friend, yes.
Representative, explain to me exactly how House Bill 280 is going to impact the funeral industry. Because when I hear you talk about life insurance, that definitely impacts my industry. Is this bill going to affect my method of payment so that I can buy a new hat?
They are still going to come to you. It just may take a little bit longer.
So you're saying, does the gentleman further yield?
I yield.
So you're explaining to me that House Bill 280 is going to delay my payment for the funeral industry?
It could, but it will also help your workforce crisis right now, because it could help you with some employees to assist with the work that goes on in your industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, you have one more question if the gentleman will.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and yield and ask for your favorable consideration of House Bill 280.
Good answer. And I think this will help the funeral industry, no doubt about that, in the right kind of way. In the right kind of way. Is there any objection to the gentleman has yielded the well? Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, you do, yes. If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 172, the nays 2. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Let's see, we do have Insurance Day today at the Georgia House. We certainly do. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to HB 294?
House Bill 294 by Representative Deloach, the 167th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 37 and Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to procedures for rehabilitation, so as to provide for the administration of contracts reinsuring life, disability income, or long-term care policies or annuities. This bill having referred to the Committee on Insurance, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chairman Deloach is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For all of you that have long had a burning desire to know more about reinsurance contracts and seating insurers in liquidation, today is your day. House Bill 294 is model legislation from the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. This is not a department bill, but the department does support the bill. This bill deals strictly with life insurance, long-term care, disability income, and annuity products. It provides for a means by which a successor to a company in liquidation, and by that I mean there are three possible entities. It could be the Georgia Life and Health Guarantee Association, which was created by this body in 1981. It could be the liquidator, which would be the insurance commissioner. It could and most likely would be an assuming company, which would be another life insurance company that was willing to step up and assume the obligations in return for the premium income from these products. It does one thing and one thing only for each one of these three entities, whichever one is standing in the place of the company placed in liquidation. It guarantees them the right to continue an existing reinsurance contract. There are many instances where that's a great advantage to the policyholders and to the assuming company or whoever is standing into place to protect those policyholders. They might want to continue this reinsurance contract. The other thing it does is, should these entities elect not to continue that reinsurance contract, there is a provision for settling accounts, figuring out which entity owes which entity, and that can be a fairly complicated process, and it's spelled out clearly in this bill how that's to happen. If there's no agreement on that, it provides for arbitration. That's what it does, and it does nothing more. It does not change any contracts, does not deal with property and casualty at all. And Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you do have a question. You do have a question, and I had a statement, but If you'll take this question, that might answer my question.
Yes, sir.
Chairman Corbett, to your right, has a question.
Does
Your
the
extreme
gentleman-
right.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Did Chairman Hitchens help you write that explanation?
No, but I'll remember next time to ask him.
I don't think the gentleman has any more questions. So I laid away, well, yes, we do have a question. Chairman Carson has a question. I'm sure this will be spot on.
Yes, sir. Yes, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
I appreciate you bringing this bill. Is it not true that this updates our policies that are relevant when an insurer goes into liquidation, including reinsurance contracts?
That is exactly right. It
Is it not-
spells out the procedure and gives us some certainty about what's going to happen with that contract.
Thank you for that. Does the gentleman further yield?
I do.
Is it not true that this policy, this model bill is also from the NAIC, National Association of Insurance Commissioners, like you said earlier?
Gentleman so states.
Thank you very much for bringing this bill.
Mr. Chairman, you have no further questions. But I will let you know I laid awake most of the night pondering these questions on this reinsurance last night. Thank you for clearing them up. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of the bill. The yeas were 174, the nays 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, if you'll read the caption to HB 315.
House Bill 315 by Representative Taylor, the 173rd, to be titled an act to amend Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance generally, so as to provide for the Commissioner of Insurance to promulgate rules and regulations regarding cost-sharing requirements for diagnostic and supplemental breast screening examinations. This bill having referred to the Committee on Insurance, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair Lady Darlene Taylor is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I bring you House Bill 315. I'm working off of LC 520242. This is a follow-up bill from last year. It has to do with mammograms, and when you need a follow-up for high density, it allows it to be paid as a preventive. It's adding some wording and allowing the commissioner to be able to make the decision what these decisions are based on. It had been limited in the previous bill to the January 1st, 2022, and those updates come frequently, so this allows him to make those choices. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I don't see any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for your favorable consideration.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 173, the nays 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. That completes our rules calendar. We'll now move on to afternoon orders. Representative Sheila Jones is recognized. She's patiently waited, and she wants to talk to us about some folks she had here today. Representative Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise today to recognize today as Clark Atlanta University Day at the state capitol. We have with us the president of CAU, Dr. George T. French, Jr., First Lady, Dr. Bashan Welch French, Marsha Taggart, Jr., and Jolene Butts Freeman. Please stand and join me as we recognize and commend Clark Atlanta University for their many years of dedicated service to the higher education of Georgia's citizens and for attracting young scholars from across the nation to our great state. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Willis is recognized for an afternoon order. Representative Willis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I bring greetings and rise today to pay tribute to one of my favorite literary contributors, the incomparable Ms. Zora Neale Hurston. She's written many of my favorite quotes, one of which includes, "Those that don't got it can't show it, and those that got it can't hide it." Zora Neale Hurston is regarded as a folklorist, an African-American author, and anthropologist. In 1913, she published one of the most prolific works entitled "Their Eyes Were Watching God." At age 3, her family moved to Eatonville, Florida, which she regarded as her home. And it was one of the first all-black towns incorporated in the United States of America. Her father later became mayor, although all of her grandparents were born enslaved. Books fed Zora's spirit and her intellect and allowed her to give her gift to us in perpetuity. She began her collegiate studies at Howard University in Washington, D.C., where she co-founded The Hilltop, which remains our college journalistic paper to this day. She was one of the first members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated and a beacon of the Harlem Renaissance. Hurston fused anthropological, folkloric, and Black experiences to make her literary mark. But often when we make our mark, it is not always received and regarded with favor or support. She was known as the genius of the South. And when she died, her papers were ordered to be burned. But an officer friend of hers stopped by her home and assisted in putting out the fire. Then her collection was given to the University of Florida. She was buried in an unmarked grave until the 70s, until her sister, writer, and friend, Alice Walker, sought out her unmarked grave, where it now reads, Zora Neale Hurston, genius of the South, folklorist and anthropologist. And in closing, Zora Neale Hurston wrote that there are years that ask questions and there are years that answer. May this house now be in a session that answers. I thank you for your time. I praise the Creator for for writers such as Zora Neale Hurston, who inspire black women like me to stand before you today. And Mr. Speaker, I yield back the well. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Chairman Jasper is recognized for an afternoon order.
All right, thank you, members. First off, remember you have DOT board elections this afternoon. I hope you attend. But Mr. Speaker and members, we're glad that you're our Speaker, the 75th Speaker of the House. And we appreciate your dedication to us and the state of Georgia. I'm from the home of Georgia marble, Pickens County. It's the stone of choice since the 1850s. Our Capitol building has over 2 acres of white and pink marble on the floors and the walls from Pickens County, but especially Tate, Georgia. Evan Howell and the family of employees at Blue Ridge Marble have created for you, Mr. Speaker, a nameplate for your desk. No, it's not a headstone, but a nameplate, because we appreciate you so much. That's what it looks like right there. So, and well, thank you, members, and I appreciate the Blue Ridge Marble Company.
Thank you, Chairman Jaspers, and to one of the things that makes Georgia famous is our marble. That is beautiful. I'm humbled to accept it, and if you don't mind, just do your best to get it to my office. I don't know if I'm not sure I can handle that, but yes, we have many beautiful Georgia marble stones in our little country church and cemetery, and they will last through eternity, and I much appreciate this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Chairman Bonner is recognized for an afternoon order.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor a great Georgian and a great American. This past Thursday, Major General John King retired after 41 years of service in our National Guard. Now, many of you know Major General King. His story is a great American story and a great Georgian story. Immigrating here from Mexico at an early age, joining the armed forces and serving 4 decades. Over that period of time, he led soldiers into combat. He served in peacetime and in war. And I'll just tell you, friends, oftentimes in these halls, we are starstruck by celebrity and athletes that come through these halls and petition. But if you want to recognize and meet a legitimate American hero, you will say thank you to Major General John King for his 41 years of service to the state of Georgia and to our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Kenneridge recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For Black History Month, I would like to spotlight the person of William Joseph Seymour, who was born in Louisiana to emancipated parents in 1870. As a very young man, he felt a call to preaching ministry and ultimately took his preaching ministry to Los Angeles, California, where God used him in 1906 to start a very important revival in the States called the Azusa Street Revival. It lasted for 9 years, from 1906 to 1915, and it was highlighted by an outpouring of the Holy Spirit that mirrored that in the book of Acts, with the gifts of the Spirit in operation, as well as healing and miracles. It got such national attention that it drew 1,500 believers every night in this small storefront church on Azusa Street. And it was one of the hallmarks was that it was a very deep multicultural experience where believers from all over, black people, white people, Hispanic, Asians, immigrants, American citizens, young, old, rich, poor, they all gathered there. And that was against the social norms of 1906 in this country, of course. And so from there gave birth to the modern Pentecostal movement. Unfortunately, as multicultural as the revival was, once it formalized denominations, it segregated again and it gave birth to white Pentecostal denominations, namely the Assemblies of God, the tradition in which I was raised, and also the Church of God. Black Pentecostal churches were also born, namely the Church of God in Christ, or the Kojic Church, as well as several black apostolic faiths. These believers 100 years ago that experienced this outpouring, they would often testify in a church service, and they would finish up their testimony by affirming, "I thank God that I'm saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost." And you'll hear that in modern churches today. So we thank you for the memory of William Joseph Seymour, who is important to black history and also to church history. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative, for that history. Now, members, I want you to pay attention, as you've been doing here since we've been doing afternoon orders. Chair recognizes Chairman Chokus. Chairman Chokus for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As many of you know, President and Mrs. Carter are my two most famous constituents. I've been asked about the news that President Carter is receiving hospice at his home in Plains. Well, we are all keeping him and his family in our prayers. President and Mrs. Carter are woven into the fabric of our community. Even through their political success, President and Mrs. Carter have remained good neighbors and are active in the community of Plains. Just in the last few weeks, they were seen riding around in the community, checking in the sites. For the last few years, their son Chip Carter has been making weekly trips to Plains to visit his parents and attend to the family business. President and Mrs. Carter are both, as you know, devout Christians with an unshakable faith. They're both passionate about making this world a better place, and through the Carter Center here in Atlanta, that's exactly what they have done. Fighting disease, waging peace, building hope. Again, please keep President Carter and the Carter family in your prayers. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Chokus. Not much you can add to that. Thank you. Representative Buckner is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm here to recognize three of our own. There was a busy weekend and several people were honored. I'll do ladies first. We are here to recognize and celebrate with Representative Hughley. 30 years ago, she started the AKA Day at the Capitol, and so we're proud of her being recognized for that and bringing those fine ladies into the Capitol. And also, Kim Alexander was recognized as Legislator of the Year by AKA, so it's great that they all received recognition. And then we had great fun, my family and I, going to an event at the Atlanta History Museum Saturday night. Back in the day when Roy Barnes was governor, he was very upset that so many people in Georgia had to leave the state of Georgia to get cancer care. And he decided at that time we needed to establish some opportunities for our people to get their cancer treatment here in Georgia and have an NIH approved cancer research program, projects, and hospitals. And that was the beginning of Georgia Core. And one of our own, Chairman Butch Parrish, was recognized as a trailblazer for helping with establishing Georgia Core, making sure it's still on the front burner when it comes to funding, And he's being shy, but he was the only legislator that was honored. So it was a really big deal. After 20 years, Georgia Corps has helped save thousands of lives and have helped a lot of people live a lot longer. And it was a great night, and it was a great honor, and I'm proud for him.
Thank you, Representative Buckner, and congratulations to those that were honored, by the way. That's very impressive. We know the House leads in many different fashions. Thank y'all. Representative Reese is recognized for an afternoon order. And friends.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleague, it is with profound sadness and a shattered heart that I reflect on the horrific events in our hometown of Columbus, Georgia this weekend. 17 people were shot, including a 5-year-old who will permanently lose an eye. 5 people died, including a 15-year-old and a father and son in the same location. Mr. Speaker, people are tired. Citizens are weary, and they're not looking to blame anyone. This is not a Democratic issue nor a Republican issue. When we are losing our babies and they are being harmed, we are all failing our babies equally. We must work to stop the problems before they even start. We must accept, fund, and embrace early intervention programs so that we can get our own youth before they are grabbed by the streets. Mr. Speaker, if you will, I would like to have a moment of silence for the 5 lives that we lost in Columbus, Georgia, and all the lives that we lost this weekend to gun violence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
Thank you, Representative, and certainly our heart prayers go out to those who lost this weekend. Mr. Clerk, will you please read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Bishop James H. Morton and his lifelong commitment and dedication to preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Honoring the life and memory of Brian Brown. Honoring the life and memory of Reverend Terrence Alton Dix. Recognizing and commending Johnny Floyd on his outstanding public service. Recognizing and commending John Hope Bryant. Commending and congratulating Dr. Bernice A. King. Commending and the Georgia FFA Association and recognizing February 21st, 2023 as FFA Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing and commending Judge John M. Ott. Recognizing February 21st, 2023 as Brunswick Golden Isles Day at the Capitol. Congratulating and commending Cassandra Denise Taylor for receiving the 2023 Yellow Rose Nikki T. Randall Service Leader Award. Recognizing February 15, 2023 as Certified Community Midwife Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing March 2023 as Triple Negative Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Congratulating the Mill Creek High School football team for winning the 2022 GHSA Class 7A State Football Championship. Honoring and commending Visiting Nurse Health System. Recognizing and commending Star Hutchings Purdue. Recognizing February 23, 2023 as Community Health Centers Day. Congratulating Atlanta Fazy for winning the 2023 Major II Call of Duty League Championship. Recognizing and commending Guy J. Camuso Jr. Recognizing February 2023 as Career and Technical Education Month. And recognizing and commending Jay Sudstill. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? Chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. All right, members, we're going to take up some motions now. For what purpose does Representative Cameron rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Request the rules be suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Cameron of the 1st and others to be entitled an act to amend Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to labor and industrial relations.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Industry and labor. For what purpose does Representative Chairman Parrish rise?
Motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules be temporarily suspended so the bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Clerk will please read the caption.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Parrish of the 158th to be entitled an act to create the Emmanuel County Public Facilities Authority.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Intergovernmental coordination. For what purposes Representative Jones, Todd Jones, rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so my bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Jones, the 25th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 3, Title 8 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to housing authorities generally so as to revise provisions relating to tenant selection.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Public and community health. For what purpose does Representative Carpenter rise?
Make a motion. I move.
State your motion.
I move that House Bill 369 be moved from the Motor Vehicles to the Technology Committee. Both chairmen agree.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 369 by Representative Carpenter the 4th and others to be entitled an act to amend Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to motor vehicles and traffic so as to prohibit the use of personal delivery devices for certain type of deliveries.
On the gentleman's motion that HB 369 be withdrawn from the Motor Vehicles Committee and recommitted to the Technology and Infrastructure and Innovation Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. That completes our motions. We're ready for announcements now. But for planning purposes, let me bring you up to speed on some further business that will occur this week. In conjunction with the majority leader, last Thursday, we came in at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. This Thursday, we will come in at 10 a.m. Is that correct, Mr. Majority Leader? 10 a.m. on this Thursday for planning purposes. For announcements, Chairman Parsons is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Speaker Burns. Thanks, Speaker. Just a reminder to members of the Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications Committee, we have a meeting at 3 o'clock this afternoon in room 403 upstairs at 3 o'clock. I'm mindful that there are maybe some DOT elections this afternoon. If we can be punctual, I think we can get in and out pretty quickly, and need you there. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman. I know all the members heard that. All the members of the committee, you need to be punctual this afternoon. Lots going on. Representative Alexander for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Women Caucus meeting, room 514, CLOB. There's been a room change. Thank you.
Representative Earhart recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, members. For those of you who serve on the Regulatory Subcommittee of Regulated Industries, we will have a committee meeting today at 3 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you. Representative Maynor recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You all just received something on your desk. Tomorrow morning, there's going to be a free breakfast in CLOB 605. It's hosted by FamilySearch.org. They went in, did some research, and they found that the people that are most likely to do research on their families, about 60% are non-minority, and only 4 to 6% are minorities. So they're really trying to reach out. So if you are a part of a minority caucus, Black caucus, Asian caucus, Jewish caucus, and so on, come to 605 tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Lumsden, recognized for an announcement.
Members of the Full House Insurance Committee, there will be a meeting in the morning, 8 a.m., CLOB 406. We have several bills to deal with. Please be there.
Representative Vance Smith, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This afternoon at 3 o'clock in 415 of CLOB, we'll have a Resource Management Subcommittee of the Natural Resources Committee meeting, and immediately following we'll have an Environmental Quality Subcommittee meeting. 3 o'clock, 415 CLOB. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Smith. Chair Lady Mathiak, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to remind the State Planning and Community Affairs Committee we will have a meeting today at 1 o'clock, 606 CLOB. 1 o'clock, 506, excuse me, 506. It'll be a quick one, so we need everybody there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Jasmine Clark, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of GLBC, tomorrow we will take our picture at 9:30 a.m. on the South Wing steps. Please wear black. Also, for planning purposes, on February 28th, pull out your African print, your African garb, your African ties. We will wear our African print on February 28th, the last day of Black History Month. And Heritage Dinner is tomorrow, 6 p.m. Please let me know or my admin know if you plan on attending so we can make sure that we know how many seats we need for members. Last announcement, no policy committee today.
Chair Lady Cooper is recognized for an announcement. Wait, hold it. She needs to finish up, Chair Lady Cooper. Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My apologies. Heritage Dinner is Thursday. Sorry, got my days wrong. Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m. My bad, y'all. Wednesday pictures, Thursday Heritage Dinner.
Well, we're good now. We're good now. Chair Lady Cooper, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are a lot of meetings, short-term meetings that we're starting at 1 o'clock. So today, the Public and Community Health Committee will meet at 1:45, 606. Let the other ones meet real quickly, and then we'll see you there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Representative Hutchinson, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and happy Mardi Gras. Everybody knows, well, most people know that I'm originally from New Orleans, and this is the day that I am truly, truly homesick. So I brought king cake. King cake is representative of the three kings that brought gifts to Jesus, so the three colors represent the three kings. And I would like to say, because I think everybody is thinking this, Mr. Speaker, that giant piece of marble does look like a headstone, so I would watch out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, I think. But you're right, you're right. Chairman Dickey is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House Agriculture Consumer Affairs Committee, we will be meeting in the morning, 8 o'clock. We'll have some bills to hear. 8 o'clock, 606 CLOB in the morning, Wednesday morning.
Chairman Bonner, recognized for an announcement.
Defense and Veteran Affairs Committee, 2 o'clock today, 506 CLOB. Thank you.
Chairman Chokus, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Small Business Development Committee, 506 tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. 8 a.m., 506, Small Business Development. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Leader F. Stration, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There will be a chairman's lunch in room 403 upon adjournment. Room 403 upon adjournment. Thank you.
That concludes our announcements. We do have a birthday, members. We have a birthday, and then we're going to have one more announcement. But we have a birthday. Representative Victor Anderson has a birthday today. Happy birthday, Chairman. Mr. Victor Anderson, Representative. We do have pages today, so if y'all will meet your pages down front, and I want to let y'all know that prayers are answered. My granddaughter, Elizabeth, is a page today, and that's not the answer to the prayer. The prayer was when we were sworn in on the 9th of January, Elizabeth was here. On the 10th, she had been suffering from appendicitis on Monday and Tuesday. She had an emergency appendectomy on Wednesday night. And she's recovered, she's back to volleyball, and she's back to paging. So thank the Lord for answered prayers, and welcome Elizabeth. Chair recognizes the majority leader for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023.
On the motion of the majority leader that this House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. Wednesday, February the 22nd, 2023, all those in favor will say aye. All those opposed will say no. Yep, the ayes have it. We're adjourned.